Good morning, Jchuck. Now here's my thoughts. First of all, before I lose track, it's a vast area, especially for someone that could possibly have been trying to hide himself. Now, search and rescue, basically a snobs club, they're not going to let you in. There's no way. There's no way you're going to get on the inside. They won't do it. What would be most important would be information from the relatives and Sherry and Pilgrim that could give insight as to what his condition was that last month after he made the tailgate video where everybody could clearly see that he barely made it and that he wasn't in any condition to be hiking long distances of mountain climbing. He really wasn't. But could he have with taking no supplies? Remember, my thought is that he wouldn't have supplies. He could have went up there with no water because in his mental condition, he wouldn't have took supplies. He may have actually not carried water and been light on the foot. And he wouldn't be this close in the ravine, the wash of question that you were asking about. That's too close. I wouldn't invest time in that. I believe, yes, he's close, but of course I don't mean this close. I never did mean that close. Or in here, I ruled it out and just walked through it. And so close to the area, yes. As far as ruling out 40 miles to the north, out of the question. It was a cold time of the year. It would be getting dark at 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon, and so I ruled that out. So close, but not that close. Okay. Now the relatives like Sherry and Pilgrim, and that's what she is. She's a relative. She was more related to him than the so-called relatives were. They have valuable information. What was his condition that last month after the tailgate hike? If they say that he was going downhill, he had been drinking more, had dropped out. Generally, a person will drop out and stop making contact. I know that, you know, myself. They'll drop out, stop making contact with anyone for a period of time, and likely start drinking more. If that was the case, and that he was even worse than we saw in the tailgate video, that's big information because that helps rule out some of these areas more in the distance. That rules out some of these more in the distance and higher up. But if he was doing okay and they go, well, I just talked to him and he was talking about the party in a couple of weeks and whatever, well, that changes the equation. That means he was in relatively good shape. But if they know that he was despondent, going downhill, and they're keeping it from us, from people as secret, that's valuable information because he would be very close if he was even worse condition than a tailgate video. Much closer, like in here, but not this close. Not this close where he would have went from the mine and then walked over in full view of the mine because he would have been found. So not that close. I wouldn't have put any time in there. But he quite easily could be up in here. Because I even did videos when I was up there. I did videos that I pointed the camera up and I go, now see, for somebody looking that I'm walking along here and looking in the bushes, but if Kenny Veach wanted to secrete himself a little bit, that he didn't know that this was going to turn into one of the greatest mysteries of the missing persons in the world. So he could have easily gone up here behind this rock, like here, for example, and done it. And he wouldn't have figured he'd be found. He could figure that's far enough. I won't be found here. So you'll never find me. That could mean right here. That could mean right there, where he could easily climb up, especially with no gear. So that's my thoughts on it. Close, but not that close. And that the most information is not search and rescue has Nothing to do with it. Because even in their search, first of all, they search and rescue. They do not go up and look in nooks and crannies for a person that openly said that he was going to hide himself, that you'll never find me. That's not what they do. That is not what they do. Even hikers that have went up, they go along established places because it's the only thing they can do. I couldn't go up there and go up into here, up to this nook and cranny, come down here, go up to this nook and cranny, come down here, go up to this. That alone would take a day and a half to do that. So search and rescue doesn't do that. They don't do that. They have no information. The person with the information as far as how close he is uh, would be Sheridan Pilgrim, his final true closest relative that could say he was despondent. Yes, after the tailgate video, he went downhill, was drinking more. He wasn't making contact with anybody. Uh, and that I was scared I was going to send over a welfare check and all that. Well, that changes things. That's important information. That way, searchers can rule out higher up and over here and over here. He went up to here in the nighttime or as it was getting dusk to go over here to be looking out at the city, which I lean towards that he would have been looking out and not down in a ravine somewhere. That he would be kind of looking out at the city and his house would be visible except for this mountain here, Gas Peak. So she has the most information because it's too much and too vast. I agree with Jeff Claw, who mentioned that the area is too vast for one person. It's too vast. But as far as the wash in question, like in here, I wouldn't put any time into there at all. But up in here, it could be. This would be prime area up in here because he could go up in here and then secret himself a little bit, uh, and he wouldn't feel like he would ever be found. He didn't know that thousands of people worldwide were going to be looking for him to solve a great mystery. That wouldn't have been in his mind, and so he didn't go up here and find a cave, pull in the proverbial bushes and sagebrush around him to hide himself in the cave. He wouldn't have done all that. So anyway, in summary, close, yes, like I think. But I don't think this close, and of course I never did. I don't mean so close you go from the mine and he's right here and there. That even if he was despondent and had been drinking more and more, and with no supplies, and being light on the foot, except for his gun, uh, he could have made it quite some distance. Because look at the distance I cover, even in the mountains and stuff, at my age. And I look back and I go, just think I was over there a few hours ago. I was way over there. Well, so look at what I do at my age. Imagine what he could do 30 years younger and with no supplies and not carrying any weight. He could have actually made it a distance. He could have made it a distance. But conclusion, especially with someone that professed that they would even try to hide themselves and that you'll never find me. Well, he's there. Yes, he's there right in this area. He's there. But with his words, you'll never find me. He could be anywhere in here that would be impossible to search. Each little search area, especially at altitude, would take days for one person. It would take a lifetime. Build a cabin up there with food, put up a pipeline for running water, and then live there and each day go out and explore a little. And then there he is here down in this thing that he was despondent and he changed his mind and came down and fell and was down in the thing where he fell and got hurt. That would take a lifetime. That would take a lifetime. And for that reason, I lean towards that he's there, but that it has to be accepted that that's his final place and that he will never be found because of the altitude, and it's not a place that people frequent. So close, yes, but not this close. Not like that. I never meant that. All those areas can be ruled out. I even entertained and did a video standing here and looking over. I even entertained the idea that he could have left his stuff there and then went over into here, into this stuff. So that shows. I mean, when you start branching off like that, it sort of becomes hopeless.